is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. And on this show, we want to bring you the best and the brightest people who are going to challenge you so that you can stay on top of your game, so that you can be smarter in the way that you work and take back time, as we said. So today is no exception. I'm excited to have Deborah Bringelson with me. She's a nonconformist, empowerment expert, and one of the most profit-producing business growth authorities in the world. She's known for her work with Richard Branson for helping in 17 countries to grow 100% to over 3,000% in under 12 months. And her proprietary Power of Three formula weaves manifestation and quantum teachings. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how we use quantum physics to take back time. And she does that with highly innovative business strategies. She's an internationally recognized speaker, author, co-authoring Practical Business Wisdom and Magic with Joe Vitale from The Secret. And basically, Deborah and I know each other, just to give a little history, as we work together at Business Breakthroughs International. That's a joint venture between Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. And I knew immediately, interacting with Deborah, she's one smart cookie. And they only hired smart cookies. So, what am I saying? So anyway, Deborah, I'm so excited to have you here to talk about quantum physics and how that can play a role for people, because they're like, what?
Yeah, great. Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
So tell me, why quantum physics? Like, that sounds scientific. Like, why are we talking about that today?
Well, so I call it practical quantum physics because, when you say science to somebody, they're like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of stuff that I don't want to know and a lot of math. And anyone who knows me knows that Deborah does not do math. So it's practically, how do you use metaphysics, quantum physics to make your life easier and a lot more fun. And I started learning about it in my early 20s. I came from a very dysfunctional, abusive background, and things were not working out well for me. And I was looking for solutions for my own life. And I'm Native American, and I interacted with some shaman and some spiritual teachers, and I started down the path of learning how to use the power of my frequency and vibration to create things that I wanted to create. Initially, as I was starting my business consulting career, I didn't talk about it at all because I was afraid that people would think I was crazy.
Well, it sounds a little bit woo-woo, right? I mean, people who are listening, they're like, oh, I'm going to turn this off. So it's not woo-woo, right?
You know what? It's very practical. And if you think going from $0 revenue to $602 million revenue in 12 months using quantum physics is woo-woo, well, then fine.
I'll take me some woo-woo right there, right? I think that's the most important thing that people understand, is we have to be open to things that we don't know and don't understand, because that's where we can open up huge leverage and huge potential. So if you're listening to this and you have any preconceived opinion, open up and let's just listen, because if it could create that kind of growth, what if, right? So keep your mind open.
Well, and that's what I started discovering personally, is I was using it myself, and I was discovering that things were just showing up that I wasn't working really hard for. And, a lot of us in Western culture, we've been taught nose to the grindstone. You've got to work really hard and put in those hours. And I started learning, life is meant to be about having fun and experiences, not just working around the clock. And what I learned in my own life is, as I was using this, things would be a lot easier. And then I started using it with clients. not really stepping out and telling them what I was doing, but I was doing it anyway. And then I started teaching, and I put in all of the business things. It should have been working, and it wasn't after about 8 months or so. And I said to her, I said, I think you're blocking money. I think you're not allowing it into your experience. And we got into it. And I did some of the energetic work that I was doing with myself. Within 8 days, she made $298 million. And
Damn.
so, yeah. And at the end of the 12 months that we were working together, she made $602 million. So
Wow.
I was like, okay, I'm going to start talking about this now.
Absolutely. So tell us, what was something practical that we can, like a practice that we can do that will help us to open up and make things easier for us? Is there a practice tip you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I did with her is I did some energetic work. There are 4 points to your point of power that create your reality. And when you get all 4 points lined up together, then things become a lot easier. So those 4 points, they're connected. It's your thoughts and your emotions. So your emotions are, have you ever, like, somebody cuts you off and you start looping about it, like, oh, you cut me off, and it's all in your head, those emotions.
Right.
And then there are your core beliefs that are in your body. It's things that you feel. So your body was designed to give you information, but we've been taught to shut that down. If you still have like the hairs that rise on the back of your head, that's a little bit of it, a little bit of warning. But if you learn to tap into what's happening in your body and your feelings, so your core beliefs and your feelings go together, and your thoughts and emotions go together. Your core beliefs are things, and it's not the things that you're walking into a cocktail party and saying. You don't walk in and go, yeah, my business is in trouble, and I really don't feel like I'm good enough or smart enough or whatever. But those are the things that are embedded because how you were treated by a teacher or a parent or society as a whole. You're not smart enough or good enough, whatever. 100% of the people that I work with have some piece of not good enough.
I think we all do. I mean, just to stop you for a second there, I think that, it's kind of, this is just my personal belief that's kind of what we're here to do is to overcome that, because everybody kind of has a little bit of that, and that we are in that search to realize that we are enough and to untap those limitations.
Absolutely. We all have that. And so one of the things that we have to understand is though all of those come together, we may say, well, yes, I'm smart enough, and yes, I'm going to close this $100 million deal. But if our core beliefs say, no, I'm not good enough, that's going to take control, right? So we want to clear that out. And that's what I did with her. So let's just do this really quickly. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and it's got us all unsettled. And if we're feeling fear is a low vibration, a low frequency energy. Joy is much significantly higher than that. Joy, love. So let's stop for a moment. Everybody just take a nice breath, settle into our body, and call in the energy and frequency of joy. And if you can't call that in, I've done it for so many years, I can do it, just in a snap. But think of a really joyful time, like when you were gazing at your newborn baby's face, or playing in the surf of the ocean, or something really joyful, and really feel that energy. Your body cannot hold opposite frequencies. So you can't hold fear and joy at the same time. Right. So let's say you're getting ready to go into a big meeting to close a deal. Stop for a minute before you do that. Take a breath and just rest in the energy of joy for a moment. You walk in at a higher frequency, and here's what happens. The energy and frequency, imagine it like, so you're looking out in your room and you're saying, well, there's all this space in here. There's space between me and the computer, and there's space between me and the wall. That space is actually full. It's full of little filaments of energy that are going out and connecting to everything in the world. And so as you walk into your meeting, or if you do it electronically, that's fine, in a frequency of joy, you connect to the other people in that same frequency of joy, and you create a higher level of experience. Did you feel that when I asked you to call in the higher frequency of joy? Could you feel that in your body?
Oh, absolutely. Right away.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and I also am more familiar with doing that, but it's easy actually, right? Because all you need to do, as you led us, through that, is to think of a time when you felt it, when you were immersed in it. And we're trained, we do that. Like, we can listen to a song and that'll take us right back to a particular time. So, if we need to get there through a song or through, sometimes I think about a time when I laughed so hard that milk came out my nose type of thing. Like, it was just like my stomach hurt and my cheeks hurt, right? You can totally easily find those moments. And then, like you said, then once you have them, you can easily bring those back, because now those are ones that you call upon.
Right. So let's make this practical. Let's say you are trying to close a deal or make a sale, or somebody on your sales team is, and they've got all this going on, these thoughts in the back of their head, oh my God, I've really got to make this sale because I need to pay, the mortgage or whatever.
Right.
Or my dad told me I would never be anything and I'm going to blow this. So then they walk into the sales conversation and they're all, yes, and I'm great and my product is great. And the person they're talking to feels the energy of I'm not good enough or whatever it is.
Right.
And this isn't some woo-woo thing. There are actually machines that can measure the energy. We can measure it up to about 8 feet, but we believe that it goes significantly farther than that, maybe thousands of miles. So You're saying, oh, I'm really great, and I'm, my product's really great. And the energy that you're exuding, the frequency is, I don't believe in this product. I don't believe in myself. And what happens is the person on the other end, they may not know why they don't trust you, but they don't, because they feel that disconnect and the sale gets lost. So practically doing something like calling in the frequency of joy, that higher level, to move out those fears will help in making sales, in connecting with your spouse, whatever it is.
Can I ask you a question around that? So one of the things that I think about is when I think about fear, right, it's usually centered on myself, right? So fear is something about yourself. And it feels to me like, whenever I'm focused on someone else and that tends to bring, maybe it's joy, but other types of gratitude and other types of feelings, right? And more of collaboration and giving. So I always find that, like, if I'm nervous when I'm going on stage, because I speak a lot and I get nervous, but it's because I'm thinking about myself, right? And what they're going to think of me. As soon as I turn my energy towards the audience and the value that I'm delivering and the individual faces, then, that fear goes away and it's just really focused on them. So is that part of that type of energy exchange as well? Self versus others?
It can be, and it can be different for everyone. That's why I like to, when I'm starting with people, I just go to what we just did. That's where I like to start with people, so they can really feel and understand what the difference is.
Awesome.
Distractions are the enemy of productivity. Go to distractionquiz.com and find out your distraction profile. Are you a time zombie or a hamster? Take this free distraction quiz today to rate your ability to focus on what keeps you from being a wizard. Go to distractionquiz.com.
So, what do you find is the biggest mistake that people are making in their business, that they get caught up in this fear or in any type of resistance that keeps them moving forward?
Well, I don't necessarily think of it as a mistake, but I do think of it as, what are the layers that are causing you to behave in a certain way? So one of the things, I teach quantum metaphysics classes, and in addition to my corporate clients, and one of the things that I always teach is to ask the question, what's under that? So if you have a situation that's not working, or you have thoughts that are getting in your way, what's under that? What's causing that? And we play the what's under that game. And sometimes we go down, 10 or 15 levels till we really get to it.
Right.
And it's not that they're making mistakes, it's that they're making decisions based on fear and an energy that keeps things very constricted. So we are unlimited beings. If we can think it, we can have it. If we are sending the right energy out into the universe will deliver it back to us. And you can call it source or God or universe, whatever you want to call it, but it will be delivered back to you. It's our human perspective that we've been taught, you're only going to make this much money, or if you're in this profession, this is how it's set up to work, and you can't bust out of it. None of that is true. And I and my clients have had tons of crazy experiences that prove that it's not true. But we have to get down to the root of what's going on, which, to be honest with you, the root is typically some version of I'm not enough. And we have to expand our energy out of that.
So how do you do that? How do you expand your energy out of that if you've been in it for so many years, right? This is something most people have been practicing for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years.
Right. The first step is to really understand what your limiting beliefs are and be willing to let those go. I was talking to a woman recently about this, and I was talking about fears and all the fear that's happening in the world. And she was so committed to fear. She wouldn't even have a conversation about, she thought fears were really valuable.
Okay.
If that's where you are, you're not going to expand out of it, right? You have to be willing to acknowledge and move out of it.
Yes.
The other piece of it is to be willing to start to change your energy and vibration. I have a free Facebook group where I do a lot of guided processes, I call them, to take people past fear, to help them understand how to lift to a higher octave. Our lives and our bodies are kind of like an orchestra playing different notes of music. Right. And as you attach to a note of money or lack of money, you attach to a note of love or lack of love. It's understanding how to know what you're attached to and then expand beyond that and knowing where you're going. I'm trying to make this really clear. One of the things that's really important is to focus on where you're going and what you want, and stop the focus on what you don't want.
Right.
That's probably number one. So, as you get engaged with people and they want to talk about, and you'll notice this a lot of times with people, I broke my hip, and I'm taking more pills, and I won't have those conversations myself. And what I tell people when you talk to me is, if you start marching down that path of your story, I will cut you off. Mm-hmm. Because I love you too much to let you do that to yourself.
Right.
Did that answer
caught
your
up
question?
In our own stories.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Basically what you said, how do you get out of there, just for the people who are listening? So you said, if you're more committed to your fear than your joy, then it's clear what you're going to get. You're going to get more fear. Right. And so I think that is clear, and creating that awareness of where our commitment really is. And like you said, it's working with people like yourself, myself, the people who can guide you through that process will help you. Because I was just saying to you before we got on, is very often it's hard to see ourselves. I'm sure you work with a coach. I work with a coach, because we all have blind spots, and it's hard for us we do get stuck in our stories, and we have to have people calling us out. We don't always call ourselves out on it.
Right.
So that's part of the process as well.
Right.
So, I ask there's two questions that I ask every guest, and I wanted to get your opinion on this too. So how do you define productivity and why?
Well, I'm probably different than a lot of people, productivity for me isn't doing, it's creating. And so when I think of what I do to be productive, there's a good part of my day that I'm meditating and reading. It's not about grinding and hustling at all. It's about, I will spend hours meditating if I need to get myself really clear energetically and in alignment before I'll do a task. And I know that when I put in that energetic time, I don't want to say effort, but time investment, it makes the results come so much faster and easier. You know, there are things that, you know, I'll think about. It's like, I really need this. Here's an example. This isn't a business thing, but I needed some trees trimmed and I wanted it to happen before winter. And just magically, my neighbor has a new boyfriend who had a tall ladder, came over last night and trimmed my trees. And I didn't even have to do anything to make it happen. One of my fun experiences in my professional life was when I was doing the work with Richard Branson and I wanted to throw this big party and I had no budget and 7 days to make it happen. I mean, literally I could have served him water in paper cups. That was how big my budget was. And I put it out there to the universe. I did the energetic investment. In a couple of days, somebody called me on my cell phone, and I don't give my cell phone number out to anyone, called me on my cell phone and they said, I hear you want to host a party for Richard Branson and the top F100 and 500 companies in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I said, yes. And she said, well, I hear you're looking for a venue. She said, I have a nice home, palatial estate is what it was. You can have it in my home. I'll cover the catering costs. I said, well, that's really great. I also invite all of these people, and I may know who they are. I may have a list, but I don't have their contact information. And we're now like 4 days out. And she said, well, I know somebody who does, the owner of this one particular restaurant. Within 7 days, I did nothing other than toss it to the universe and then help coordinate whatever. But somebody came in, covered the cost of everything. It was fabulous. People were invited. They showed up and ended up closing the deal for me. That's how that kind of investment leads to being what I would think is really productive.
Awesome. I love it. And by the way, nobody that I've interviewed has had the same definition for productivity. Okay. So that's also because, sometimes I used to say productivity is like a feeling. It's really, at the end of the day, did you do something that was in alignment with your goals and your values, and then you feel productive? It's like happiness, right? It's kind of like only you can define, right? Because we're not machines. So it's not about input and output. It's different. So, so that's why I like to ask people as to what they have. And lastly, I wanted to ask you, so, a lot of times when people are looking for productivity tips and ways to work smarter, they want to know the shortcuts, right? We want to know what's that thing, that one activity that makes things easier, like you said, and gets us to our result faster. What's your favorite shortcut?
I meditate.
That's what I thought you were going to say, since you just brought that in. So you talked a little bit about how that makes things easier and faster for you. Is there anything else that you wanted to share around that as a shortcut?
Well, so I meditate in different ways when I have different needs. Like if I'm stressed for some reason, or if I get into a situation of fear for some reason, I will do a meditation, or I do guided processes that will clear that out. The client that I was talking about that went to $602 million in 12 months, she believed that she didn't deserve money. Mm-hmm. And so we had to clear that out. So I'll do that. Or if I want to meditate to get to a higher dimension, I will do that. So I kind of really mix up my meditation. For me, it's not necessarily just sitting and being quiet.
Right.
But the first thing that I would encourage everyone to do is really spend some time figuring out where they're energetically holding themselves back, and then start doing the right processes to clear those away.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are intrigued, right? We left them with the what if. They could get that one thing that's holding them back and break through it. So where can they find more information about you? You said you had a Facebook group that people could follow.
Yeah.
Where do you send them?
Yeah, there is a Facebook group. It's called Deberah Bringelson Quantum Success Academy. There's no charge to join. There's a lot of, free videos, a lot of content in there on the quantum metaphysics aspect. But then I'm also a business consultant. So there are business tools in there as well. And then they can also, if they want a free download of a guided process, the guided process actually that I used with that client that we've been talking about, they can go to 7 blueprint.com. And that's my entire 7-step business building blueprint. And as kind of an add-on bonus thing, there's the guided process, and it's all free.
That's amazing. So you guys better go there to 7blueprint.com and check it out. And I know, as I said, Deborah and I have worked together. So, and probably, I don't know if this attracted you to Tony Robbins, right? And it's what attracted me is what we did at Business Breakthroughs was both the mindset aspect and the business aspect. So both, you and I, and there's very few people who can handle both aspects, right? That can go to your depth of clearing the various different elements in the mindset, but then also to have really practical strategies that will then double, triple, and whatever that percentage is of your business. So that's really powerful. So for those of you who are listening, go check it out.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think there are so many people who say, well, I haven't been able to make all of this cosmic stuff work for me. And the problem is there are too many people out there who don't have a depth of knowledge and understanding. So they're teaching it at a surface level. Mm-hmm. Once you really understand it, it really does start to move in a joyful way.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we sign off today?
I just believe that you can do it because you are the power of the universe. What you have in you is the exact same power that moves mountains, that the greatest mystics of the world have used. And it just takes a little bit of investment to be able to start shifting. You can do it.
You can do it, guys. It's time for you to tap into your power and to take back time, take back joy, because that is something that we do need to take back. Some of us who work too much or, right, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I get it. So it is time to take back your power and really realize and recognize what you've got inside of you. So thank you all for being here. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.